What's up, everybody? It's Wednesday, February 28th. We are talking the first round of the 5A Girls Iowa State Tournament, and we're going to jump right into it here pretty quick. So this is my first experience with Iowa State Tournament at all. I've also been watching the boys sub-state. And let me just say, guys, the setup here is unbelievable. I love the win or go home from the beginning of postseason play. I love the fact that there's time between games. It allows fans to kind of rest a little bit. You know, where I come from, they do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and by Saturday, everybody's tired and ready to go home. And those are the biggest games. And the setup here is unbelievable. It allows for big crowds. It allows for great games. Everybody's rested, and it's just overall it's been a phenomenal experience. But we're talking Iowa Girls State 5A Tournament right now. I was at the games on Monday for the first round, and they were unbelievable. Just jumping right into it, the game of the day for me was Indianola against Cedar Falls. Cedar Falls being the 2 seed, Indianola being the 3. Overall, Cedar Falls, they had more talent top to bottom. They really did. The combination of Maggie McGraw and Grace Berg for Indianola was just too much in the end. Cedar Falls fell in that game to Indianola 64-63, and it was a fun one, let me tell you. Maggie McGraw for Indianola finished with a game-high 28. Grace Berg for Indianola, the Missouri commit, she finished with 27, and the sophomore for Cedar Falls finished with 27 also. She was great. Emerson Green. Thoughts on the game? The Cedar Falls Big Three, the seniors, all the signees to Northern Iowa. Let's see here. Cameron Finley she's a 5'9" senior guard. Kiana Barney, 6'2" senior guard, and Cynthia Wolf, a 6'3" senior center. They were very, very good, and Cedar Falls as a whole was very good. Just top to bottom, well coached, ran their stuff extremely well. They were poised. They jumped out to a little bit of a lead. I think they had about a 10-point lead at halftime. But the combination of Grace Berg and Maggie McGraw, just from the beginning to the end, was just too much for Cedar Falls to handle. Maggie McGraw was the energy provider early for Indianola. She hit several threes, had several blocks, kept them in it early. Berg really kind of struggled in the first half, honestly. She missed several around the rim she usually makes, but the second half was the Grace Berg show for a long time, and McGraw brought them down the stretch, made some clutch free throws, and they ended up winning the game. The first game of the day was actually Johnston against Waukee, Johnston being the 4 seed, Waukee being the 5. Johnston really controlled that game from beginning to end. They ended up winning the game 73-48. Maya McDermott for Johnston had 25 points. Jenna Johnson for Johnston had 14 points. Maya McDermott makes that team go. She's a sophomore, about 5'6". I think she averaged about 19 a game going into the state tournament. She's a winner. I mean, she does all the little things. She plays hard. She's a smaller girl, but she uses her body well in a lane. She's not afraid of contact. She shoots it well from outside. She's the Energizer Bunny for Johnston, and Johnston's a scary team. It's not just Johnson and McDermott. They have other girls that can do some stuff, but those two are kind of the key. McDermott she's the one that makes them go. She's a lot of fun to watch. Definitely don't miss out on a chance to see her. Another great game on Monday was Iowa City West beating Dowling Catholic 63-53 in overtime. It was a really fun game to watch, especially down the stretch of regulation. For Iowa City West, Kaylin Morgan led the way with 20 points. She's a 5'9" junior. And leading the way for Dowling was none other than number 1 player in the 2020 class in the country, Caitlin Clark. She had 22 points. Caitlin Clark is extremely talented. If they're going to win at a high level, she has to play extremely well. They have other great players around her too, like Josie Filer, who's a Nebraska Omaha commit. She's a 6-foot forward, has soft hands, finishes well around the rim. But for Dowling to win at this level, Caitlin Clark just has to play phenomenal, and she almost did. She played extremely well. She had a couple plays down the stretch where you kind of wanted it to fall for her. It just didn't, but she made plays. She just needed one more point, honestly. It was the difference in the game. But credit to Iowa City West. They were down most of this game, and they battled. They battled the whole way through. They have great players also. The Creighton commit Saunders played a great game. I think she's coming off of she's only played a few games this year after tearing her ACL last year. Rachel Saunders, she's going to Creighton next year. She's a great player. And then the senior, 6'1" senior Logan Cook, who's committed to Iowa. She played a pretty good game also, but it was Kaylin Morgan who kind of led them throughout. Like I said, she finished with 20. But the reason they won was not so much their talent as it was their just grit and determination. They were on the floor for loose balls first throughout the game. 50-50 balls, 75% of them went to West. I hate to say this, but they just seemed like they wanted it more. They had a little bit more grit, a little bit more determination. And none of that was more evident than whenever Lauren Zacharias made the play of the day. It was a tie game with about 10 seconds left, and Iowa City West had the ball at the end of regulation. They missed, and Caitlin Clark makes a phenomenal play to get the ball out in transition to one of the other Dowling players who had leaked out ahead of everybody and was going for a breakaway layup to win the game. I mean, it was going to be at the buzzer, and Zacharias closed about a 30-foot gap and blocked it from behind, kind of a little bit of like LeBron James type, blocking it from behind. And it was just unbelievable. And that sent it to overtime, and it kind of gave West the lift they needed to get over the hump. They had fought to get back in the game. That play put them over the top, and in overtime they controlled it. And that was one of the best plays that I've ever seen in terms of just a hustle play, putting your body on the line for your team. She had no business getting to that ball, and she did. Unbelievable play by Lauren Zacharias, and great win for Iowa City West. And the last game to talk about in the first round was City High defeating Valley 78-62. This game featured probably the two best players in the state, with Ashley Jones of City High and Zoe Young of Valley. As most of you know, Jones is committed to play at Iowa State, 6-foot senior guard. She's unbelievable. And Zoe Young, a 5'10" junior guard, is committed to play for Maryland in a couple years. And Maryland is one of the top girls programs in the country year in and year out. She's unbelievable also. Jones finished with 36 for City High, and Zoe Young finished with 28 for Valley. Those two did what they do. I mean, they're both unbelievable players. They can score from a variety of ways, all three levels. They both hit threes. They both finished around the rim. They both hit mid-range shots. Just really talented top to bottom. They do everything for their teams. The difference in this game was everybody else, honestly. City High just had more around Ashley Jones than Valley had around Zoe Young, and that's no knock on the Valley players. They have great players around her to go with Zoe Young, and they did everything they could. But the four sophomores that City High starts, they're unbelievable. City High is going to be loaded for a long time. Starting off with Aubrey Jones, Ashley Jones' little sister. She had 20. She made a number of big threes. Every time it looked like Valley was going to get back in the game, there was Aubrey just drilling another three in somebody's face. She's an unbelievable player. She's a 5'9" sophomore. And then maybe one of my favorite players of the day is Rose Nkumu. I think I'm saying that right. She's a 5'8" sophomore guard for City High. She's a strong body girl. She has 5 offers already. She kind of plays her role. She makes sure everybody's involved. She guards extremely well. She kind of plays that center field position on the press. She got her hand on a number of balls throughout the game. A lot of fun to watch. She's going to be very, very good. I think she's going to end up being a high major point guard. And then they also had a couple other sophomore players that are very good. City High, if they don't win it this year, they have at least 2 more chances. They're going to be very good for a long time. City just controlled this game from front to back, and they move on to the semifinals. It was a great first round, and the semifinals are set. Johnston will play City High at 10 a.m. on Thursday. Iowa City West will play Indianola at 11:45 a.m. Both of those games are really interesting to me. Obviously, City High, I think, is the best team in this field based on what I saw on Monday, but they're not untouchable. They have a lot of youth. If you could jump on them early, I don't know how that youth will respond. They have not lost a game all year. I assume, this is my first time seeing them, but I assume they kind of led most of those games from front to back. They have that much talent. I wonder how they would react if you could jump on them. Johnston, I love Johnston's players. They have great players. I just don't think they're going to be enough to beat City. Maya McDermott is going to have 30 plus if they're going to have a chance. City High just have too much. Ashley Jones is a handful for anybody. I don't know that Johnston has anybody who can handle her. I don't know that anybody in the state has anybody that can handle her, honestly. So I expect in that game, City High to move on. But I think Johnston will keep it close. And you never know with a player like McDermott, if she gets rolling and if Johnston can hit some threes for Johnston, the Dragons, then they can upset City. I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility, but I expect City High to move on. The second semifinal game starts at 11:45 a.m. and it's the two upsets. Number 6 Iowa City West defeated number 3 Dowling, and number 7 Indianola defeated number 2 Cedar Falls. But these two really good teams, the fact that they are quote unquote the 6 and 7 seed means very little when you get to this level. All these teams can play. They all have great players. They all know how to win at a high level. To me, in this game, I think the combination of Maggie McGraw and Grace Berg is just going to be too much. West has great players. They play extremely hard. They don't have anybody, in my opinion, who can slow those two down. So I expect Indianola to meet City High in the championship game on Friday night at 6 p.m. And in that one, that's a tough one. I mean, I think Indianola has the second and third best players on the floor in that game, and everybody else is young. So I think City just has top to bottom more talent. But I've seen Berg and I've seen Maggie McGraw do a ton of things for their team and come back in games they had no business winning, and they have it, and nobody really knows how to define it, but Grace Berg and Maggie McGraw have that. I would not be surprised if they pull out and win. However, I think City High just has too much, and I think that they will end up being your 5A state champions in 2018. I am extremely excited for the semifinals tomorrow morning. I'm a little bit bummed that they're at 10 a.m. and 11:45 a.m., but the crowds have been great so far, even at those times, and I hope that you guys will come out and see them. I tweeted this the other day. I don't think Iowans know how well they have it when it comes to girls basketball. The talent level here is unbelievable. The depth of the talent is unbelievable, especially for a state the size of Iowa. It's kind of a smaller state in terms of numbers. For there to be this many great players playing at the end of the year, it's something that you guys need to take advantage of and get out there and go see these girls. The atmospheres have been great, but Wells Fargo can hold way more. I hope everybody will show up and enjoy these players for one last go around here until next year. This is my first time doing a podcast or anything like this. So I would appreciate any feedback you guys have. I know I stumble over my words a little bit. That's something that I will continue to work on. But if this is something you guys like, I would love to keep doing them. So any kind of feedback you guys can give me would be appreciated. And maybe I'll do one at the end of the tournament. But tomorrow morning, be there. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's so many good players. Go enjoy them. Even if you don't have a dog in the fight, see if you can take a lunch hour and go enjoy a half. I mean, it's a lot of fun. The atmosphere is great. Keep doing what you're doing, Iowa.